All right. Welcome to episode 4 of Watch Me Build a $1 million business. I've taken a few days off because of Christmas and traveling, and now I'm ready to jump back in and get things moving. So real quick, I want to review, let's make this a little bigger. I want to review the Summit Guide. This is a tool that I developed that we use to every week kind of review how close we are to our essentially our 90-day target, which is a um, smaller version of our, let's say, 1 to 3 year target. Where are we going? We're working towards building $1 million business, which essentially kind of breaks down to $83,000 a month on average. So we want $83,000 monthly recurring revenue by the end of March. It is December 27th, so that gives us just about 3 months. Where are we now? We're at 39. We just dropped down to 32. Why? We lost a client. It was just kind of a natural end to that relationship. And then we had a few clients where it made sense to downgrade services. So the big question we ask whenever we're setting a desired future that we're moving towards is what must be true to get there. And I have broken this down into a few different components. So the top level I broke down into, I guess you'd call it revenue targets for different sections of the company. And then I have a few things that are not revenue related, creating operational efficiency. So just a quick recap. Right now, I have an agency. That's where the 32,000 is coming from. We were just basically at 40, so I'd like to kind of stick at 40, maybe even pull down to 30, just because agencies don't have fantastic margins. We do have decent margins, probably higher margins than most agencies because of our ability to get results on performance. But not every client that we work with is in that stage. So some clients need a lot more kind of building from the beginning. Yeah, so I'm going to keep it here. The other reason I want to keep it here is if I scale past 40, I'm going to need to add more infrastructure from a people perspective. And the tricky thing about that is it's like every time you add certain like there's certain jumps that you make in the beginning when you're adding people. And if I have to double my team, for example, just to add one client, that doesn't really help me. I'd rather kind of stay at a certain level. And then if I was going to double my client load, but then also double my team, that would make sense. But just to add one client and then add a few more team members to support that because of capacity across the board, then all of a sudden we're now in a place where that doesn't actually make sense. And you have an additional burden of managing more people. So I want to keep that there. Coaching is going to come out of launching the tool and the course in the community. Um, the idea is to get about 20,000 from the community. That would be between 200 and 338 members, depending on the pricing. The pricing is probably going to range between 59 a month and 99 a month. And that's kind of where that math comes from. So this is what we will be focusing on today. So we're asking what would have to be true to hit the 20K. I would need to launch the actual minimum viable version of the program, the community. And what would have to be true to do that? I need to get social media going. Essentially, we need to start. Actually, let's rename this to develop our audience on social media. That's a bit clearer. In order to do that, we're going to do a YouTube series. Then we're going to take the content from YouTube and use it on TikTok and also Instagram. We need to complete the, should kind of clarify, this is the uncommon growth template. To do so, we need to roll out updated template to beta users. That is actually complete. We need to complete the prompts database. That's probably not something I'm going to record just because it's a lot of busy work. And that will be something I just do kind of periodically. It's a product enhancement. It's not necessary at this point to continue, but I think it will make the features much better. And then the final one is I need to record the actual modules for each of these, and that's actually where I'm going to be digging in today, because in order to do that, I need to determine what the best, I need to determine what the best, I guess you'd call it training framework, training framework is. Actually, first it's complete the outline, then it's determine the best training framework. So this is actually what I'm going to be spending time on today. The rest of this is more marketing and launching related and optimization related. And then after that, there's some operational things that we'll be working on inside of the company to help create a operational foundation so that we can more easily scale. So right now, I have a bunch of random notes in my Notion, which is where I keep a lot of things for myself. I also have, let's go ahead and move some things around here. I also have this, which is a really old 30-page document where I've just dumped a ton of things as well. And now I need to go through and establish a good framework for kind of what the modules should be, and then also what are all the components that I need to teach. When I was building the tool, I did it. I had it probably halfway done, and then I went to this retreat in Crete, and while I was there, I offered, like, we could all offer skill shares, and I offered a skill share of, essentially teaching people, because it was all digital nomads, teaching people um, a framework for growing their business, which is essentially what the uncommon growth method is. And every 2 days, essentially, I taught a workshop, about a 2 hour workshop. And then I had to finish the next, essentially, module before the next workshop. So I was kind of forced to really quickly blow through and get these things completed, which was great from, an accountability perspective. And then, hold on one second. I have to start my timer. And I had a captive audience, so I didn't really have to sell them on anything. And it was really kind of focused around the tool. And I didn't do a fantastic job at kind of creating some big picture stuff. And the facilitation was maybe not as strong as it could have been. It was my first time doing it, and really, really all my energy was focused on developing the actual tool itself and making sure that that was functional. So now I need to kind of go and build all the support elements that go along with that. So let's see here. We want to, um, okay, so what I want to do first is I want to get a mental framework for the outline, because I know there's one that exists. So let's first see anatomy. No, that's not what I want. I want to make sure that there's a degree of simplicity, there's a degree of value, like it has to be value, 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 value. I don't want fluff. Uh, I'm looking for somebody who's got a good framework. When I was in my last job, which was in 2018, so my last like non-self-employed situation, I worked for this guy named Dave Ramsey, which he's kind of big in the get out of debt space, and he's really known for this thing called Financial Peace University. And I went through it while I was there, and I was, I remember as I was going through it, he did a really, really, really good job delivering the content. Now, granted, he's been doing it for 30 years, so he obviously refined it quite a bit. But I remember a few things, and I don't think I have my notes for that. It might be in here. Oh boy. Let's see. It's in here. I doubt it. I want to say this is written down on paper somewhere. So probably not. Okay. I need help creating an outline for an online course. I want to first understand the anatomy of a good course. What structure should I use for each of the modules? Give me a templated framework. See what it does. No, this isn't what I want. I want the framework to reflect the type of content for each module. No, break it down into multiple modules that phrase this. Break it down into multiple modules that is optimized for learning and student learning, engagement, and implementation. Okay, so I think those are going to be the big things here. Okay, we're going to do a couple of things. So while I'm here, I'm going to create a version of the growth hub for this. I'm gonna have to create another one for when I'm actually filming the modules, but this one will be the one I use internally. And I want to record a few things before I forget. My guardrails. And actually, I'm going to pull from the old one. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, where is it? Here. So I do have some old ones. There are some things that are still relevant. Oh no. Where is it? Here it is. Used to be called the Everest method. Time out. Okay. Value needs to be to provide vast amounts of value. There should be very little fluff. Deliver what is necessary. Success. I'm awful at spelling, but it doesn't matter for right now. Deliver what is necessary for success. And leave out the rest. Engagement. It needs to be educational, exciting, and entertaining. And the last thing is action. It needs to, I don't know if incentivize is the word, because I'm not sure how we would do that, but it needs to inspire people to take action. So the guardrails are, this is really, I'll get into this whole section later, or this whole tool later. But the guardrails are here. It's what are your internal or external values, requirements, and constraints for how you want to operate the business? What are the flags that you have planted that you're not going to compromise on? So these are like the hills you would die on. These are the lines you won't cross. These are the boundaries in which you will filter the decisions that you make. So that's really all it is this, it's a decision-making filter. So if something's not, if it's not simple, it's not effective, I don't know. I could probably pull out innovation because there's a degree of things are not necessarily. I'm actually gonna pull that out. Much as I love that and what I'm doing at a high level is innovative. Actually, no, we're gonna put that in there. Um, it may not be in everything, but in terms of what we're developing, there's nothing new under the sun, but in terms of what I'm developing, it's new. And the way that people will interact with it and what it'll ultimately become does not exist. So that is innovative. And the actual methodology itself, I haven't really seen anything like that either. The growth formula, for example, which you'll see once I start getting into the content, that's something I came up with myself. Pretty much all of this I came up with myself. All the strategic high level stuff I came up with myself. The tactical things I would say I borrowed um, from actually I would say One Piece. The Summit Guide is kind of borrowed from OKRs, objectives and key results. Really good um, methodology, and then a little bit of the core methodology is built off of the lean startup principles. So it's definitely not all from scratch, but there are some components that I came up with through trial and error. Okay, but yeah, guardrails. So back to get rid of that. Let's see. Introduction, foundations. I'm really struggling to figure out the best way to do this. Let me see if I can find this. And what did I ask it? This was something that I did a while back. Okay. So I actually input everything and then I asked it to write me a book outline. This is good though, because I can kind of follow a little bit of this. I'm not ready to dump everything into ChatGPT yet. I need to kind of organize it. So let's go through here and see if we can, what we can borrow from. Mm, mm, mm. Um, no, we're not going to try to write an outline first. First, we're just going to try to organize the content. I did do a little bit of that here. Function, principles, exercises. So let's just start listing things. Journey map. What else we got here? Got the journey map, customers, story, offers, right? Oh, brand. relationship matrix, and know your numbers. Let's go ahead and make this a bit bigger. And we are going to call this resource guide. And then the summit guide. Growth. We have P4. Actually, I think that this really is probably falls into this. And so does this. So the difference is exercises for creating clarity. These are tools for growth. These in kind of this order here. Okay. Let's do a quick review of this. This is probably good. Five build grow. Right, creating clarity, creating confidence. I like that. Clarity, confidence, control, focus. Interesting. I do like that. Clarity, confidence, creating control, creating focus, building your growth system, making progress. I would say that's not really core principles. That is core process. The introduction needs to be Journey overview, common growth versus uncommon growth. This needs to include experiences of both. Oh, okay. Core principles is going to be oh man, I don't have a way of articulating this. Let's say let's just do something for the sake of doing it right now. Back path, value path. Hmm. Principles is, you know what? This really does kind of follow this because creating clarity. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Creating confidence. No, this is I guess it's still a climbing guide. I don't have another name for it yet. That which is this. Creating confidence is the before map. This then would fall under that. Hmm. Actually, no, this falls under here. I'll come back to that. Creating control. Yeah, that's the that's the growth formula, which is this. Then this is going to be acquisition pathway. Actually, we're just going to call it profit pathways, which comes from the relationship matrix. Making progress is going to come from here, here. Building is going to go into prompts is going to go into building. Already covered that. Journal is going to fall under probably additional tools. Success. Okay. Let's see. That to be tips. That's a core principle. Find customers is a core principle. I mean, honestly, it's the value currencies. Um, payoff. Problem is common growth. Pain is experiences of common growth. It's going to be like um, this is going to be the curves or patterns. This is also going to be the dysfunctions. This will be the internal experiences that come from that. The solution is you need the uncommon, wow, uncommon growth. And then this is basically going to be pattern. Well, no, it's just a system. System for navigating growth. We'll detail that out later. Uncommon growth, patterns, advantages. This will be the experiences. We're going to want to do process overview. I wonder if this is the Um, so chunking the way that I mean it, I'll show an example. It's not chunking. Is it first principles? Yes, it is first principles. Yeah, it's this. Yep, this is it. So the example I was going to give is with a website. Oh boy, where do you hide it? Here we go. Lost it. So first principles thinking, in the way that I understand it, is you take the bigger picture and you break it down layer by layer into its most fundamental building blocks. So, in the example in front of us, you have a molecule which is made up of atoms, and atoms are made up of nucleus, which inside the nucleus exists the proton, which inside the proton exists quarks. And so, this is almost like the deconstruction of a molecule, which you could then reconstruct back. And like for a website, for example, you have a site which is made up of pages, and then you have pages that are made up of different objectives. So, like different things you're trying to accomplish on each page. And that's usually broken down into blocks, which can be broken down into designs, which can be broken down into experiences, um, or broken down into the actual like content, I guess. So, like designs would be in this example, we have testimonies for the block, which is here, let's trace one. So you have a website and you might have a services page, and on that page, you're trying to demonstrate authority. And one of the ways you might do that is with testimonies. You might visualize that with like a single slider, where you have like one testimony after the other, or you might visualize that as three cards. So this is just an example. There's tons of other ways to do this, but this is a chunky example. So I'm going to go ahead or sorry, a first principles example. So first principles. Um, so yeah, I guess I can't really say that this is original because we're just taking some very basic principles that exist. Then I guess I wonder if there's a name for what's the principle approach that grocery stores take when designing their layouts. Direct through store? Yeah, okay. We do probably do that. Equalize retail space. Hmm. Hmm. I don't know if I have a good name for that. Like if it already, let's ask. Is there a name for the method or principle that grocery stores use to design layouts optimized for maximum for shopping cart value maximization? Okay, what's it called? The green effect. Yeah, we're not exactly doing that though. We're not trying to con amount. I mean, this is basically what ClickFunnels did. Um, Stress the moment people enter a store are engrossed in an intentionally overwhelming experience. This causes them to forget their original reason for going to the shop, so they tend to make impulsive. That's not exactly what we're trying to do here. In fact, we don't want to confuse people. And I mean, I guess unless you're building a big store like that, you may. But that's a difficult experience to simulate digitally. So this is kind of predicated on some digital things. How does this relate to how they to tactically how they lay out store and how they price and promote? So kind of the whole idea of the uncommon growth method is you your average customer has an average value associated with them. So let's say it's $100 in terms of the lifetime relationship that they have with you, the business. And they have an average cost associated with that as well, which might be, let's say, $30. So if you know that on average you can spend $30 to acquire a customer, and that customer on average is going to be worth $100, you now know that you can spend $30 to make $70 in profit. And that's the basic principle of what I'm trying to figure out in terms of a name. So I know they do these psychological triggers. Do they care about making profit on each item? Yeah, so they'll use loss leaders, high margin items. Hmm. So for example, okay, so I know a lot about this because I used to work at grocery stores, and one of the main, probably the first business lesson I learned when I was 15, I was in high school, got a job because I got a work permit to go work at a grocery store, and I started out as a bagger, bagging groceries. And behind the registers were the freezers for the ice, and it was like a really hot summer, 90 plus degrees Fahrenheit, and people were coming in. I think it was also probably near 4th of July. So people were coming in just asking for ice. They asked for it at the register. The cashier would add it to their bill, and then I would go grab it and put it in their cart. And we ran out of ice, and people were livid. They were throwing fits. They were not they were not happy that I didn't realize my camera was off this whole time. They were not happy that let's do this since I'm monologuing. They were not happy that we were out of ice, and they would throw fits and take it out on me and the cashier. So I went to my boss, the manager, front end manager, and I said, "Hey, people are getting really upset." And at that point, I kind of understood customer service, but I didn't understand much beyond that. And I said, "People are getting really upset, and they're coming in and they're yelling at us because we're out of ice. Maybe we should put a sign on the door that tells people that we're out of ice so that they won't get upset." And I thought that was a brilliant idea, and he laughed at me. And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "People might come for ice, but when they get here, they're going to buy a bunch of other things." And that's when it hit me that their goal isn't to make people happy necessarily. Their goal is to get them to buy as much as they can while they're there. And one of the most common tactics they use is you walk right into produce, and the items that are typically loss leaders are bananas. They don't make money on bananas. They price them really cheap. It's like it's an easy staple item. They run deals on them a lot, and they do that because you might come in for bananas or something else, and you're going to end up seeing something and making impulse purchases. That's why you don't go to the grocery store hungry. But anyway, um, this is when I learned that there's more than one way to skin a cat, essentially, when it comes to making money. You don't necessarily have to make money on every item. You need to zoom out, going back to first principles, making an ROI on every transaction is a very myopic way of thinking when as long as you can make money on the net purchase or the net um, value of a customer, pending timing and cash flow, you're good. Like you're making money. So I don't really know what to call this. Um, I'm going to throw this in there just for the sake of having. It's actually not this. I don't know what's happening there, but we got that. Um, okay, so the first principles. Then we have the scientific method. No, it's actually the lean. It's actually, let's see. I'm pretty sure it's the lean. What is the lean startup? Yeah, both of these are huge. Yep. Honestly, yeah, honestly, this is all very relevant. Very, very relevant. So we call this profit iteration testing, minimum viable product. Yes, I mean that is what I am launching. Pivot or persevere. Yes, you don't. You have to be willing to make a. You have to be willing to change the direction if it's not a. If it's not a good direction based off of the validated learning that you get, you need to be willing to pivot or continue on. So I think the big difference here is this methodology is more around iterating towards success, but not necessarily being married to what that success looks like, and instead letting your customers inform what that success looks like. Innovating accounting to improve draft startups, a new kind of accounting is required. What is this? I don't remember. It's been so long since I've. What is innovative accounting? Hmm. This is a good one too. I use that one for mine. Cohort analysis. Yeah, that's kind of more advanced. I would put that in advanced tools, tools for growth. You don't necessarily need to do that. Um, this is not necessarily something that I think, I mean, it's not important, but mm, yeah, we're definitely going to include this one way. Profit levers. Profit levers are huge. So this would be creating leverage with compounding gains. So there's a formula that we use to determine two kind of North Star metrics. Profit per customer and growth efficiency multiplier, which is basically growth efficiency multiplier is like your ROI of every customer on average. And profit per customer is the actual raw dollar amount. And then the way that we calculate that is we use these five metrics, which are leading metrics. And if you move all of these 10% from an improvement perspective, you're going to get a 50% improvement on the value of each customer. So you use these little small, you borrow from physics with a lever or a pulley. It's kind of more like a pulley where you can lift something very heavy. You can move a heavy or difficult. I mean, honestly, it's using the first principles again to um, break down the main metric. We're not going to do agile development because that's not what this is. Um, it's much easier to say, how can we increase our average order value by 10%? How can we increase the average number of transactions per customer by 10%? How can we increase our margin by 10%? How can we reduce the ratio of paid to organic acquisitions, and how can we reduce the cost of paid acquisitions by 10%? All those are going to move everything at the top. Continuous deployment. Yeah, that's one. Innovative accounting. I'm going to get rid of that one. Customer development, developing products and installation. Yep, this is a big one. Continuous deployment. Oh, start developing products and installation. Yeah, okay, we use that for the beginning, but we continue to put in regular updating. There we go. Testing hypothesis. This is, I mean, that's part of. These two things, in my opinion, are part of build, measure, learn. Once you build, measure, learn, then you decide whether you're going to pivot or persevere. And you really want to get some level of validation. MVP, yep. That's a focus on taking imperfect action with a minimum viable product. This is also part of continuous deployment. So you want to always be testing. It goes in this order, actually. It's the pit cycle. Taking perfect action. This is good. I'm glad I did this because I've been doing all these things for like years without really cognitively realizing what I was doing. Run right and runway, that's a good one. Okay. Um, Desired future. That borrows from OKRs. Which this is going to be setting targets, breaking them down into asking what is true. That's using first principles. And then creating a system of proven, predictable, and profitable performance. Just P4 method. P4 roadmap. Oh man, we are at time, but I kind of want to finish up here because I feel like I'm close. Um, no. Customer centricity is, we're going to say people first. And I honestly think that these principles can get moved inside of these areas. Or process overview. So the core principles sit outside. That sits in these sit inside of people first. Principles. Yeah, customer development. Action, burn rate. This is measuring success. Yeah, this really kind of follows the same thing. I do think I need to hmm, mm-mm. See, now we're getting into it. Sorry, future. This is going to be creating motivation. Hmm. Tips for success. That's going to be a big one. Oh man. Give me an outline for a course based on this information. Um, we want the first one to end with going into clarity. Tips for success. Process overview is going to be confidence, control, focus. Yeah, that's fine. Ew, that's awful. I don't think so. I think this is module number one. Two, three, four, five, six. Seven, eight, nine. Hmm. This has to come here. Probably flip these two. Modules 2 through 7. Module 8 is creating control. Confidence is longer than I wanted it to be. Focus. Hmm. There. Oops. And number 12. Whew. All right. I think we have it. This is no longer a resource guide. This is a course outline. It's not the hub because the hub's just a tool. Hmm. Okay. But at least I now have a lot of the pieces. A lot of the pieces laid out. There are others. Mm, okay. People first, start future, navigating success. What am I missing? It feels like something's missing. Measuring success, moving, pits. Honestly, this is kind of it, I think. Uh, no, there's one other piece. It's alignment. Although that's what this is. That's what this is. That's what this covers. That's desired future. Hmm. Let's see. Where does that fit? What principle? I guess that would fit under first principles. Measuring success, customer centricity. I'm sorry, that's people first. Um, oh, creating clarity, honestly, is going to be the other one. Look at this. System. Exercises, clarity. Uh, no, it's definitely here. It's definitely in the clarity because you gotta know. Oh, I don't know where that fits. So basically, the P4 methodology is there's one of four stages that your business can be in. So the principle is like knowing where you're at, and then from there, knowing what your focus should be. So maybe focus is but it's not just about focus, it's like strategic focus, which I don't really like that word. It's very um, corporate. So this is app. Honestly, this is really going to come in here. Proof, ability. That's going to be that. I think this is fine. I just think I want to probably create a core principles. Uh, core principles. Maybe we do a little compare and contrast mindset. This is where we do it. Core principles. Yeah, honestly, that's really what we want to do. Let me just look up one thing really quickly. Oh, duh. Growth game. That's it. That's what I was looking for. Experiences, patterns. Um, okay, but what doesn't exist is the functions. This is gonna be. Do I have that on here? Analysis paralysis, time pressure, cash flow, talent, attrition. No, this is gonna be the opposite. So I haven't really created that yet, which is essentially that's gonna be this is probably gonna be clarity versus guessing or not even considering. Oh gosh. Um, strategic focus versus feeling. It's like whatever people feel like doing instead of feeling, or I guess it would be, a lot of time, like I've worked with people that they're relatively new to business. They have not necessarily very many, either no sales or very little sales, and they have this expectation that they're going to sell millions of dollars of products in a very short period of time without having any real validation in terms of how they sell their product, like how effective their messaging is, what their customer actually wants, the most optimized price points, where to reach people, all the pieces, um, doesn't doesn't really do well. So unrealistic expectations. Then we have the miss uh, yeah, mismeasuring success. It's going to be uncommon growth game versus chasing revenue. Most of the time, like, so for an example, take ads for an example. People will often want to get positive ROAS on first purchase. ROAS stands for return on ad spend. So for every dollar you put into an ad, people want to make sure that they make at least $1 or more back from that ad. However, goes back to the banana example. If you have if you have a customer journey, a pathway for people to take that maximizes the value based off of multiple purchases, um, you don't necessarily need to make money on the first purchase. You can break even, you can sell it at a loss. It's about acquiring customers. Okay, so it is customer. So this is buying customers versus buying versus selling products. What was the focus one again? Um, yeah. Oh, second one is this is going to be iterating into success versus really not knowing versus guessing. They're guessing again. Guessing or chasing trends or gurus. Yeah. And these are the experiences, and then this will be you need a system for navigating growth. Oh yeah, they also throw money at stuff. Um, throwing money at big one. All right, this is a good place to end it. When I come back, we'll start detailing this out a bit. Um, and then this will give me what I need to build all the decks. And then once I have the decks, I don't need this anymore. Once I have the decks done, then I can start shooting the content. And yeah, once the content's done, so let's go back to the first principles. Complete the outline, determine what's okay, I have that. So I need to build the decks. In order to do that, I need to complete the outline. So that's the next piece. Complete the outline. This is going to be detail the outline. And that's what I'll do next. And this will be detail module. So the first principles, what must be true example here is what must be true to hit 20,000 community members? Well, I need to launch the product. There's many things that would have to be true to launch the product. One of those is I need to complete the template. Let's call it yeah. Actually, I think it's going to be complete the course. Because it used to be the template I was creating was the tool, but really the tool fits inside the course. So this would be complete the tool and record the modules. So in order to complete the course, I need to record the modules. In order to record the modules, I need to build the decks. In order to build the decks, I need to complete the outline. And in order to complete the outline, I need to detail each module. And also I needed to determine what the best framework was. So technically this goes there. Doesn't really matter what order you put it in sometimes, but yep. So thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell, all the things that you do for content you want to see more and more. And I'll catch you next time.